Welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I am Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a post-fight show for UFC Fight Night, Poirier versus Johnson. And yeah, this was just amazing fight card overall. The main event is, was great, and yeah, wow. So yeah, it's a post-fight rundown in the main card of UFC Fight Night, Poirier versus Johnson. So let's get started. Okay, so the main event was a lightweight clash of the ages. Dustin Diamond Poirier, who's been on a tear at the lightweight division, 155 pounders, since moving up from featherweight. You had Michael Johnson, who is always a beast, and he's a runner-up on season 12 of The Ultimate Fighter, and has been overall pretty good in his career in the UFC thus far. It's been years, and Johnson's, overall looked great. And this was KO punches round one win for Michael Johnson. A lot of people didn't see it coming, especially the way Michael Johnson kind of struggled in the Nate Diaz fight, and then Poirier has been getting big knockouts left and right. And yeah, so it was 1 minute 35 seconds into the first round. It was all she said and done, and boom, Michael Johnson was at the bottom of that top 10 ranking, and now he definitely moves up. And Dustin Poirier, I think, will dust himself off, no pun intended, and learn from this fight and come back with some big wins. So that's the main event. In the co-main event in the middleweight division, we had Uriah Hall versus Derek Brunson. Man, now this one, I definitely, I was definitely a little stunned by, because I thought that Uriah Hall would get the knockout, but number two, I think there was way too early of a stoppage. I think Uriah Hall wasn't completely out yet. I mean, yeah, he fell, but he wasn't out. And I think the ref should have let it go a little bit further for another 5 or 10 seconds. But yeah, it was KO punches round one, 1 minute 41 seconds. And Derek Brunson is looking good right now. The sky's the limit for Derek Brunson. I think he has great wrestling. He has decent jiu-jitsu skills, and he has heavy hands. And so he's, he's worked for anyone in that middleweight division, top 10. And then in the lightweight division, we had Evan Dunham versus Rick Glenn. Rick Glenn, superstar of World Series of Fighting, going into the UFC, making his big debut. And I knew Evan Dunham. I mean, he just had a long layoff, but otherwise he was looking great before that layoff. And this is just a good, dominant victory for him. I mean, he totally dominated. He just outpaced Rick Glenn every spot, outlanded him, outstruck him. I mean, everything, all 3 rounds. And he got dominant positions over him in the stand-up. And yeah, this was a clean 30-27 out the door, unanimous decision victory for Evan Dunham. So good job. And then in the welterweight division, we had Rowan Canero versus Kenny Robertson, 2 veterans in the UFC going at it. And yeah, this one, you know what? I mean, this one, it was decision split, but I had it 2 rounds to 2 for Rowan Canero, so I think it should have been a 29-28 unanimous decision. I mean, Kenny Robertson had some moments where he landed some decent strikes, but overall, I think it was 2 of the rounds I had for Rowan Canero fairly easily. I mean, it wasn't like super dominant, but 10-9 rounds. Nonetheless, the right guy did win this fight. Rowan Canero did win fair and square. And good win for him in the welterweight division, this being, I believe, 2nd stint in the UFC. Then in the lightweight division, going back to the lightweight division again, we had Islam Makhachev versus Chris Wade. Now, Chris Wade, the sky's the limit for this guy. Big potential. Obviously great wrestling background, decent striking, decent jiu-jitsu, not too old of a guy. I knew Chris Wade would struggle in this fight, though, because the Sambo wrestling background at Islam I knew that's what would win Islam the fight, is he out-wrestled Wade. I think for the most part, though, Wade will be able to deal with the wrestling of his opponents, but just not in this fight. And I called it on my pre-fight show that Islam would win. And Chris Wade, lost 29-28 unanimous decision. So it wasn't Chris Wade's night, but I think Chris Wade will have many good nights still in the UFC. So Chris Wade, if you're watching, just dust yourself off and get back in training, and you'll be fine. And learn from this loss. But yeah, Islam Makhachev, he's a force to reckon with in the lightweight division. I think we're going to definitely see more of them. Now, will they be exciting fights? I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of guys who'll be able to lay and prey on in the lightweight division, unfortunately. But it's just when he gets to that top 5, top 10 that have good caliber wrestling, I think that's where the true test for Islam is going to be. But I think for now we're going to see a lot more dominant wins for Islam in the near future, and this fight proved that he's capable of that, getting unanimous decision win over Chris Wade. And yeah, this was pretty much a wrestling match for the most part. So, well, Islam, he got his win. Then in the featherweight division, we had Chaz Skelly versus Maximo Blanco. This fight kicked off the main card, and Chaz Skelly just steamrolled through Maximo Blanco and got some good grappling moves on him. And then it was a technical submission anaconda choke 19 seconds into the first round. And I believe he got a performance of the night bonus for that. So yeah, and this being in Texas and Chaz Skelly being a native Texan, it was great for me to see him win. I'm so happy for him. He's one of my favorite fighters. I'm a proud Texan. So good job, Chaz Skelly. And that wraps up the post-fight show for UFC Fight Night, Poirier versus Dustin. Stay tuned for my pre-fight for Landsberg versus Cyborg. Landsberg, she's making her big UFC debut, and Cyborg, we all know who she is. So I'll do my pre-fight pretty soon for that one. So until then, see ya.